members of my team, Kip Pierce, who is the secretary for Fuse, Donna Cruz in the back, who is the PR specialist, press relations specialist, and Nicholas here is our treasurer.
Yeah, Anna. Yeah.
Alrighty. Without this team, a lot of what we do here at Fuse would not be possible. My name is Dante Duran, I'm the president of Fuse, and I'm glad to welcome you to Fuse tonight. So, Fuse stands for Faith United with Science, and our mission is to provide a safe environment where students' beliefs can be challenged in the exploration of the nature of science and religion and their mutual interactions, to foster continued interest and discussion in the wider JV community about topics related to faith as it relates to science, and the express intent of pointing people towards the Judeo-Christian God. We really want to be a part of providing a greater Christian community with individuals who can discuss faith and science with intelligence and humility. Later this semester, we'll be having a members-only event. There'll be lots of fun, home-baked goodies. We'll blow your mind and have some fun in the process. You won't want to miss out on it. If you'd like to receive email updates from Fuse, this attendance sheet that we'll be passing around. First of all, we'd like to keep track of how many people come to our events, so please sign up. If you want to receive email updates, please give us your email. Now, just because we have your email does not make you a member. If you would like to be a member, please email us at faithunitedwithscience@gmail.com with a brief statement about your interest in the integration of faith and science. And as a member, you'll have access to exclusive member events we put on, and you'll get to vote on anything that we put a vote to, especially voting on the next year's leadership, which will happen in April. So I'd like to announce that Dr. Gilmore has brought over a speaker. It's not a Fuse event, but in line with the Fuse mission of talking about faith and science, Dr. Gilmore has set up an event October 21st in the Walker Student Center at 6:30 p.m. He's going to have Jay Siegert, who is a JVU alumnus from 1986, talk about how faith is not a four-letter word. Basically, his talk is going to be about why the Christian faith is rational and relevant in the 21st century. So it's not a Fuse event, but if you want to be part of that, you can talk to Dr. Gilmore if you have any questions at tgilmore@jvu.edu. The format tonight will be Dr. Francis Umesiri will talk for 40 minutes, and then we'll have 10 minutes for a question and answer, and then there's 10 minutes reserved at the end for discussion. Student-to-student discussion. One of the suggestions we had in previous years was to get more student-level interaction with each other. So one of the ways we're doing this is having room for discussion at the end. So there's some discussion prompts at your tables. This is a suggested questions to talk about after the lecture, after the Q&A, for you guys to dive in a way that's maybe deeper and broader than is possible in a 40-minute lecture. Give you guys a little bit, another way to invest. And if you have any suggestions at the end of tonight, or for topics you want to hear in the coming events, or anything, feel free to write them back or send us an email at faithunitedwithscience@gmail.com. So, Kip, if you would like to pray for us, and then I'll introduce the speaker, and then you enjoy the rest of the meeting. Sounds good?
Thank you all for being here. Father in heaven, Lord, thank you that we can all be here this evening to celebrate our faith and to learn more about your creation through natural science. Thank you for Dr. Umesiri, for his scientific knowledge and desire to share it, for his heart to serve others, and most importantly, for his love for you. Help him to speak well as he shares with us his studies about how spiritual discipline through fasting not only helps us grow closer to you, but also helps us to treat our bodies like the temples you made them to be. May this evening be for your glory, Lord. For it's in your Son's name that we pray. Amen. Okay. Now I'm going to pass around this attendance sheet. Please sign it. I wrote our email on the top of it too, so you don't have to remember it. So yeah, thank you all for coming. And without further ado.
So I'd like to introduce our speaker, Dr. Francis E. Umesiri. He graduated with a Master of Science degree in Chemistry from Central Michigan University and a PhD in Organic Chemistry from the University of Toledo, Ohio in 2010. His dissertation was on researching potent inhibitors for a certain antigen 85, which is probably responsible for the drug resistance of tuberculosis. He's done a lot of other research on tuberculosis. He's published in several scientific papers, including the European Scientific Journal and other papers. Dr. Francis E. Umesiri came to John Brown University in 2011 as assistant professor of chemistry. And his courses include organic chemistry, biochemistry, and fundamental chemistry. For Umesiri, chemistry is an opportunity to help students appreciate the beauty and intricate nature of God's creation at the molecular level. So, to him, this involves making chemistry classes practical and relevant to students, and providing them ample opportunity to practice chemistry through hands-on laboratory research activities. He's also written a book, Fasting for Life, which this presentation is based off of. I hope you enjoyed tonight. Please give a hand to Dr. Francis Umesiri.
Thank you so much, Jonathan and your team. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. And thank you all for coming out. I know fasting is not a popular talk, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you. And so, yes, I'll be talking about fasting, both from a Christian perspective as well as from purely scientific health benefit perspective. Okay? And so I like to start from the scriptural part of it, because when we talk about fasting and the health benefit, for me, I started fasting way before I knew there were any health benefits to it. I mean, I suspected it was good for my body, but it was mostly because of the spiritual aspect of it. And so if you look at this passage here in 1 Timothy 4:7-9, it says to steer clear of silly stories that get dressed up as religion, but instead to exercise daily in God. Some of the versions will talk about godly training, the idea of exercising our spiritual muscles. It's important, because I think that we live in a time when we don't do that often enough. He said walking out in the gym is very useful, but a disciplined life in God is even more so, because it makes us fit for today as well as for things to come. Okay? And so I believe that there is indeed a place for fasting to give us that opportunity to engage our spiritual muscles, to stay disciplined in the presence of God, and to tame our appetites, really, if you think about it. We live in a culture where, we have sugary sweet mouth. As a culture, we like food. In fact, when I first came to the US, it was a shock to me. Can I tell you something? When I go to church, and then before service, there's coffee, there is donut, there's tea. Oh my God! I was like, what? Where I came from, and now church was serious matter. Yes, it was fun. Boy, if I showed you service, people danced and had a lot of fun. But the idea of food everywhere, every time, church, event, it wasn't just something I was used to culturally. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, give me, I'll eat it right now, right? But I'm saying it wasn't what I was used to. There's a place for fasting in our time. There's a place to regain the discipline of fasting in our time. And I'm glad I'm speaking mostly to you young people, because you are, of course, the leaders of our future. I want to encourage you tonight, no matter what else you get from my talk, to consider regaining the discipline of fasting. So I'm going to ask you a question now. Think about it, and I want a response. Why do you think fasting is no more common or popular, even though we recognize it's a spiritual discipline, like prayer, like studying as Christians, we know that part where Jesus said, when you fast and pray. So there's no doubt that there's scriptural precedence for fasting and waiting on God in prayer. So my question to you, though, is why do you think it's no more a big deal? It's no more important in many circles? I want an answer. If you're in my class, that's always what happens. I make people talk. So how about we try? Yes. Yes, Chelsea, they say I should follow you. I always speak on her in class, and now they're saying I should speak on her here. Why not?
I think people don't fast very often because it doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good to the body. Try fasting. By the time you reach 12 o'clock, your body is screaming. You just, the stress is there. What else? What else do you think is the interest? Yes, Moses.
I wonder if people see it as spiritually rewarding as we see prayer and meditation and things like that.
Yeah, the people think, why do I have to fast? Why do you think that is so? I think it's the idea that I don't bribe God by fasting, so why do I need to, right? Yeah, it's true. I think we've already passed that long ago in the Christian history, that fasting is not part of bribing God to answer our prayer or to force his hands. That used to be the excuse. You know how in the church we go from one pendulum extreme to the other. Maybe some people, it was if you don't fast for everything, God won't do it. And now we try to we overcorrect to the other side where, fasting, I don't need fasting for God to hear me or to win God's favor, so I don't even fast at all. That seems like an extreme response to that. What else do you think is the reason? What else? Yes.
I also think that a lot of people just find it inconvenient to them, and also I think people just don't care enough to give something that would normally bring them, to give up something that would normally bring them satisfaction.
That's right. We live in a culture of instant gratification. And so typically it would be very hard for people to give up something that is convenient, something very easy. And so, but in my opinion, and I'm speaking to you sincerely tonight, I'm not really speaking to you so much as a lecture. I really do feel called to encourage young people to consider praying and fasting in a little deeper sense than we always do. Because in my own personal life, I found a use for it. It's very helpful. There's something about waiting on God in prayer and letting go of some of the things that we hold on to for a day or two or a week and say, Lord, I'm just going to focus on you. It doesn't make God hear you better, but it makes us better. It disciplines us. It makes us trust more and lean more on God. It sort of builds our spiritual muscles, and we do need it in life. Things happen. Challenges come. And sometimes if you haven't been, it's just like in physical life, if your muscles aren't trained regularly, consistently, when it hits the very hard place, it becomes difficult. And so I think there's a place to develop our spiritual muscles in Christ. And that's why Jesus allowed us and gave us the opportunity to fast from time to time. But there's a broader sense in scientific speaking in which we use fasting. And so I'm going to talk about those three because when I looked at some of the literature on fasting, it will encompass these three or so definitions. In general, we talk about caloric restrictions. That would be cutting down the normal amount of food you eat by about 20 to 40% regularly, right? And so that would be a long-term, consistent fasting. That would be calorie restriction. And many people try to do that in some fashion or another, right? And then there is intermittent fasting, which is mostly you basically forgo food, say for a day, and then the next day you continue and eat as normal, right? Many Christian circles, that would be closer to the idea when we fast, right? Maybe you fast from morning till night, and then have dinner, and then the next day you eat regularly, all right? Or you go 2-3 days without food at all, just water, okay? And then after that you continue, and then do it again after 3 or 4 days or a week or whatever. And then there's dietary restriction. Dietary restriction would be basically saying, okay, I'm not eating protein, or I'm not eating carbohydrates. It's mostly, avoiding some macronutrients for some reason or another. This is interesting. It turns out that restricting protein really did elongate the lifespan of rodents and other small animal models, significantly. It turns out it's one amino acid, the methionine, that has that effect. And in fact, in other studies where methionine itself was restricted, removed from diets of these rodents, they did really live longer than other ones. So just something to think about. I like meat, so that got my attention to sometimes cut down a little bit. So, well, what I'd like to talk about then is some of the health benefits of fasting. In broad terms, if you look at, so let me step back a little bit and talk about what got my attention to this. I resumed here at JVU in 2011, and you get busy, you work from morning, and then around afternoon, around 2 or 3, you sit down in your office, maybe you have 10-20 minutes, and then you say, what do I do? Do I check my email, or do I look around? And so we sign up for, the magazines. JP subscribes to the science magazines and some of those scientific journals. So they circulate them around faculty. And so I signed up to receive the science journal as well. And so I picked up the science journal, and then I was flipping through that and, trying to see what gets my attention to read. And then I saw this research on fasting, and that got my attention. So I read through that, and by the way, most of you are in science. If something shows up in science journal, then it's premium work, right? Not everybody is able to publish in science, even for their life or their career. But anyway, this was a thorough work done in a very reputable lab, and they were talking about their findings on fasting, and so I read through this. It got my attention so much that I gave myself 5 years, and I went back up to 70 years of scientific studies that have been done on fasting, just consistently trying to work my way through all of that, because I wanted to find out if it was just this isolated research or was just some, and it turns out there were lots of work that had been done there. And so, in broad terms, there are 2 categories of ways that people looking at the benefit of fasting. One is whether it can extend lifespan. That's actually how it first started, with the fruit flies and all the other smaller models. And the studies is that it did for those other smaller organisms. And so NIH commissioned a long-time study to see if it did have such effect on humans. That's actually how most of these reputable labs got into the study. So NIH commissioned the study, but phase 1 is concluded, phase 2 has been concluded, clinical trials with humans now, not just in rodents. Phase 1 and 2 have been concluded, but there's no significant increase in lifespan. Okay. But in health span, meaning the period of our life in which we live healthy, all of us age. When we get closer to 60, our back begins to hurt, our knee begin to do this, there's more headache, there's more propensity for cancer, there's more tendency for the eye problems. So it's part of aging process, all right? So the longer you live, the more those things begin to set in. So if what we mean by lifespan, health span is, if you live long enough before those things begin to really set in, those chronic diseases associated with aging, cancer and Alzheimer's disease and all of that. Now it turns out fasting, in all of the studies, most of the studies done, increase the lifespan, health span of people involved in the study. Not their lifespan. They died when they died, but in terms of the period of time they lived healthy before those chronic diseases began to set in, fasting has been shown to improve that. All right, I mentioned this study by NIH. It's called aptly calorie, sort of, a play on words on calorie. But this was commissioned by NIH. The phase 1 studies were completed around 2007. Phase 2 was completed last year, and most of the studies have shown the same thing, from type 2 diabetes to cancer, to cardiovascular problems, to brain improvement. Fasting showed significant improvement in reducing the risk. Now, like I said before, in in animal models, that's been conclusive long ago. The question why NIH instituted this study was, one, they wanted to find out whether these benefits, similar benefits, could be obtained in humans in terms of health span, but also in terms of lifespan. So it turns out in lifespan, it didn't do anything, but in all of these health markers, fasting was shown to significantly improve that. So what I'd like to do now, within the next few minutes, is run through a few of this in the area of diabetes and cancer and maybe cardiovascular health. In terms of diabetes, the significant thing here is that fasting improved the blood sugar level for all the people that were involved in the study, various studies, various labs. The way NIH did this was medical institutions from all over the country competed for the award, like most NIH awards. And so each phase they gave up about 4 different awards to 4 different medical centers. So you have a medical center in Wisconsin, you have a different one entirely in Washington. So they don't collaborate. Each does their own work independently, and then later on they publish. And it turned out when they all published, it was similar result for all of them. All right? And so the significant thing for diabetes, you can imagine that it makes sense, because if you are fasting, you're likely to lose weight, isn't it? And then some of that improvement will be there. But the important thing why this got my attention is that for those, even those that didn't lose weight, those who did chronic fasting, where you really go without food for many days, those who do caloric restriction, just 30% reduction, those who did alternative day fasting, no matter the type of fasting involved, they all experience significant improvement in their blood sugar control. And the reason, because they wondered why that was so, the reason was because fasting improved beta cells functions. So beta cells are responsible for producing insulin and regulating its use. So we just finished eating dinner now, there are a lot of sugar released in our bloodstream. Well, it's the beta cells that will stimulate the release of those insulin into the blood, and they begin to pick up the glucose so that the body can use that. So it gets it off the bloodstream. And so it doesn't matter whether they were very obese or they were normal weight, fasting stimulated the same response in beta cells. And that's one of the important things about that. How about fasting and cancer? Why this study for me, why this got my attention was part of the NIH commission was, so you had a 20-year study going on in rhesus monkey in Wisconsin National Primate Lab in Wisconsin. And the NIH, National Institute of Aging, was doing one. These were concurrent 20-year studies, right? And they didn't discuss with each other, 20 years. Over those 20 years, why did they choose rhesus monkeys? Because the morphology of cancer development and growth in rhesus monkeys is very, very similar to humans. That's the closest they can come to doing this kind of study in humans. And so they chose rhesus monkeys. At the end of that study, close to 50% reduction in the risk of biomarkers for cancer was witnessed in the animals that were kept on fasting and those that ate regular meals. That's significant. And in human studies, it turns out that in the calorie studies, about 20 to 30% reduction in risk of cancer was witnessed even in all the humans that were involved. And these were, double randomized, double-blind studies. These were not just laboratory studies. These were clinical trials. And so, think about it. That's why if you go to Amazon now and type fasting or intermittent fasting, you see that some of the best-selling books on health are really fasting books. It's interesting to me. Believers are shying away from it and saying, unbelievers are not the ones, talking about it and going for the benefit for it. How about fasting and cardiovascular? Again, I have some links here. Like I said, this is 70-year study of literature, so there's several of these references if you want some of them, but in every site I try to put one list if you were interested in looking through that. How about cardiovascular health? In all these studies as well, fasting was very useful in reducing plaques, deposition of fat and other things, thickening and hardening of arteries, right? Because that's usually what leads to blood not flowing to the brain and the heart and heart attack and stuff. And so, really, when you are testing for cardiovascular health, that's one way to go. And in all the studies, it showed significant reduction, about 30% for those who were fasted. And don't remember, we're not talking about putting people on fasting for where they're not even eating anything at all. This is just, reducing their food intake by 30%, right, for 6 months. That's what we're talking about. Imagine that if this was a lifestyle, or imagine if you were able to do this regularly on your own. The benefit, I think, will still be there. All right. So the question is, how about the Christian fasting? The Daniel fast and the other Christian fast, were they beneficial as well? It turns out that one lab in Memphis has dedicated a long time to studying that, Bloomer Joseph and his group. In fact, I spoke with him when I was first writing this book. They've done a lot of work on Daniel fast with different groups, different people for many years. And it did show the same results that we witnessed in all the other NIH studies. Right? And remember, Daniel fast is basically for maybe 21 days, you are mostly on fruits and vegetables. Is that right? And that also was beneficial. So there has to be something about calorie restriction that is just useful right here. However, the other type of fasting, which is the Lent, the Greek Orthodox type fasting, the results were mixed. Some found some improvement in some of the biomarkers for health, and others there weren't significant change. So in literature, at least right now, as of last year when I checked, there hasn't been any definitive benefit from that. All right, so the question I'm sure you were wondering is, what makes fasting so good? Why? First of all, fasting is not, let me put that disclaimer, I do not think that fasting is the answer to all diseases or trials. I don't think so. These studies are still in phase 2 clinical trials. It's not like they are finally conclusive. There's still studies that involve relatively few numbers of people. That's usually how they do this. Mostly obese people or people who are moderately overweight. And so larger population studies need to be done, and that's why NIH has not, there's still a phase 3 where they're hoping to recruit more people to do the phase 3. But what we know from all of the studies so far is that there is something about it that it consistently shows health improvement. And so the question a lot of people in this area of study are asking is, how is that possible? What are the physiological and biological mechanisms? There are a number of them, about 5 people are hypothesizing, but 2 of these is what I'll give you, and I'll spend only time on one briefly. One is homeostasis, and then reduction in reactive oxygen species, right? And so homeostasis is the idea that a biological system receives benefit from repeated exposure to mild stress. Okay. So if, for example, you exercise, when you exercising, the truth is that you are under stress. Is that right? Exercise is hard. Is that correct? Now you're feeling it because your body is feeling it. The cells are feeling it. All right. But why is exercising good? Have you asked that? Because when you're doing exercise, it's a stress to your body. That's one. But to get the benefit of exercise, they say do it regularly. If I exercise today, I don't exercise until next year, will that be a good thing for me? No. The exercise to be beneficial, it has to be repeated consistently, and it has to be mild stress. Exercise is considered a mild stressor, biologically speaking. So that's why exercise is beneficial. It's actually a hormetic induction. What does that mean? It just simply means that when the cells are exposed to that mild stress, they react to it. And in reacting to it, it's like a body receives a foreign body and it releases antibodies and antigens to try and invade it. In this case, it releases a range of physiological processes and chemicals because it's thinking, boy, there's a stress around here. But it turns out that that stress isn't intense, it's just mild. And so you stop after 30 minutes or 1 hour and you calm down. But meanwhile, the body's released all of these good things that you wanted to use to fight what it thought was bad. And so they are now present in your body. That's why you feel good afterwards. You are healthier. Not because the stress was good, but the body, the biological system reacted to that stress in a way that produces benefit to you. Well, that's the same thing with fasting. Fasting is a biological stressor, but it's a mild stressor. And so if you expose your body cells to it repeatedly but consistently, then it produces all of these physiological things and processes that makes it easier for your body now to withstand actual stress, like heat, like carcinogens, like other problems that really are also high intense biological stressors. So that's really one of the most popular currently explanations